After kicking Chase Rogers out of class for being disruptive, Professor Murdock told the students that she was aware of the fight that had just broken out on campus. Kevin hoped she wasn't going to notice him, but Dalton didn't seem very worried. Professor Murdock fixed her eyes on Kevin and Dalton and asked them, "Do you two still want to pretend it wasn't you? Do you really think it was a good idea to fight on the first day of school? Stand up right now." Kevin got up from his chair sheepishly. He didn't expect Professor Murdock to recognize him in Dalton. Unlike Kevin, Dalton stood up very readily. The way he stood up so eagerly, it looked like Dalton thought he was going to be praised by the professor. As Professor Murdock spoke, she slowly walked from the podium to the back row and looked Dalton in the eyes. She told the class, "Dalton Steele is the sole heir to the Steele's family fortune. When his great-grandfather came to Chicago, he had nothing. He relied on his own martial arts training and his courage to build his fortune from scratch. Over the past few years, the Steele's family businesses have spread throughout the region," she continued. "And even though he never committed any major crimes, he did pretty much whatever he wanted. However, he never did anything to stain the family name." Upon hearing this, Dalton started to wonder what the professor was getting at. He didn't understand why she seemed to know so much about his family. Then Professor Murdock turned to Kevin and said, "You married into the Jones family. Since your marriage, you've been wasting your time hanging around the house. The strange thing is that you recently moved your parents to Chicago from their home in the country, and you even got them to move into one of the new luxury condos at the Salix Leaf Hotel complex. Isn't that so?" The other students in the class were amused by this last detail and started to laugh. How could a freeloader manage to buy a condo in a luxury building, especially the most exclusive place in the whole city? This had to be a joke. The professor was visibly irritated by their laughter. Kevin was secretly surprised to see her reaction, but he suspected that she was far more powerful than she looked. "What are you laughing at? What's so funny about what I just said? Don't you realize that Kevin probably had good reason to put himself in that situation?" Professor Murdock said with a serious look on her face. "Don't think that you're superior to him just because you're from wealthy families. I'm not afraid to tell you that you're all a bunch of trash as far as I'm concerned." No one dared to argue with her. They had already seen the consequences of ticking her off, and nobody wanted to suffer the same fate as Chase Rogers, so they just sat there and listened. Kevin looked at Professor Murdock in astonishment. He'd never expected this teacher to speak up for him. "Don't be so surprised. We carefully checked the backgrounds and social media accounts of every student who applied to the school. That's why I warned all of you to be more cautious in the future," Professor Murdock explained to them in a very dignified tone. Then she looked at Kevin and Dalton coldly and scolded them. "I don't care what reason you two have for what you did, it's never right to bring your disagreements onto school property. You won't be expelled, but your punishment is to run 50 laps around the football field." What the hell did she just say? 50 laps? Can she do that? Kevin said to himself. He hoped he'd heard her wrong. "I'm not going. I won't even run 50 feet, Dalton replied curtly. He turned around and sat down without asking for Professor Murdock's permission. "You really aren't going to run?" she asked as she glared at him. "No, I'm not going to run. I don't run from any challenge," Dalton replied confidently. As soon as his voice faded, Professor Murdock walked over to the back of the classroom and put her fist through the brick wall without even trying. She brushed off her jacket as she turned to Dalton and asked him again, "Are you sure you wouldn't rather just go for a little run?" "Come on, Dalton. I don't think we really have a choice," Kevin whispered to his friend. Professor Murdock was out of patience. Then she threatened them again. "What are you waiting for? Either you two go and run right now or you're out of this school." "Of course, Professor Murdock," Kevin said agreeably as he pulled Dalton by the arm. "We're on our way." Kevin didn't want to test Professor Murdock's patience anymore. When they got outside, they put their things down by the bleachers and started jogging around the field. "Why did you go along with her, Kevin? This is humiliating. I feel like a little kid," Dalton complained as he limped along. "We didn't have a choice. Did you see how powerful she was? And do you really want to get kicked out on the first day? You have to look at the bigger picture," Kevin explained to him. Dalton didn't say anything more. He just followed Kevin around and around the field. On the first day of school, there usually isn't much to learn. After the professors introduced themselves, they left the classroom so that the students could interact and get to know each other. After all, they would be together for the next 4 years. Blair was still feeling the effects of Dalton's slap earlier in the day. When he saw Dalton and Kevin running around the field, he got really excited. "You messed with the wrong person. It serves you right to be punished," Blair thought to himself. Then he decided to get a little revenge and shouted loudly, "Guys, come and take a look. That piece of trash is running laps on the first day of school." A lot of students turned around to see what he was talking about. They were all young adults, and it was difficult for them to return to school. Some of them were already a little bored, so when they saw that there was something interesting going on, they all lined up to watch. But Blair's plan backfired, and they started to comment to each other about how impressive it was for someone to use their spare time for training. It actually inspired them. This might have helped Kevin's reputation in the school. Even Lily and Phoebe Anderson were standing by the window watching Kevin run laps around the field, but they were thinking about completely different things. Kevin and Dalton figured that their 50 laps would add up to a little over 10 miles. Considering the shape Dalton was in just a couple of days ago, it was a miracle that he could get that far. It only took them about an hour and a half, including the time they took to stretch. The whole time they were running, their classmates were watching them. "I can't believe how tired I am," Dalton complained as he dropped to the ground when he was finished. "Well, it's a good thing you took the power pill after the restoration pill," Kevin commented. And then he added, "I was just getting warmed up. I'm surprised she only wanted us to run 10 miles. I think it was more to put us in our place than anything else." They were both in great shape to start with, but the power pill did wonders for their stamina. "What do you say we hit the showers and then go get something to eat?" Dalton suggested. He wanted a reward after that experience, and his clothes were soaked with sweat, practically sticking to his skin. "The way I'm feeling, I could just jump in the fountain in front of the administration building," Kevin joked. "Just let me lie here for a while. I don't think I can feel my legs," Dalton grumbled as he lay on the field exhausted. While they were talking, Lily walked over and smiled at the two of them. Then she offered Kevin and Dalton each a bottle of water. "That's very thoughtful of you, Lily. Just what we needed after punishment like that," Dalton said gratefully as he took the bottle. He unscrewed the top and poured the water down his throat like he was in a drinking contest. "That sure feels good," he said with a satisfied sigh. But Kevin didn't take the bottle that Lily had offered him. In fact, he didn't even look at her. "Come on, get up. Let's go clean up and get something to eat and drink," Kevin exclaimed as he gave Dalton a friendly kick in the calf. Dalton stood up shakily. His legs still felt pretty weak, even though his tendons had almost completely healed. But he felt like a gust of wind could knock him over. He looked at Kevin and told him, "Can't you see that Lily wants to talk to you about something?" "There's nothing for us to talk about. Let's go get a drink," Kevin replied bitterly. Seeing Kevin acting like this made Lily anxious, and she tugged on his arm. "I know I was really wrong, but you can't stay mad forever. Please come home with me." "What's taking you so long, Dalton? Are we going to take a shower or not? If you go home smelling like that, Miranda will kick you out of the house," Kevin teased. He continued to ignore Lily and abruptly turned around to leave. "I'll get a drink with you another day. Looks like your wife wants you to go home with her," Dalton said considerately as he walked off the field. Kevin wanted to leave too, but Lily was hugging him. The smell of his sweat didn't really bother her, and she buried her head in his chest. "Can you please forgive me? I know I was wrong," Lily begged him. She'd spent a lot of time thinking over the past few days. Not only did she realize that she'd made a huge mistake, but she also knew that she'd let Kevin down. "Even if you don't forgive me right now, I still won't let you go," Lily sobbed. "Do you think you can stop me?" Kevin asked without changing his expression. "Even if I can't stop you, I'll still follow you. If I can't find you at school, then I'll go to Corwin Tower to wait for you. In any case, I'll follow you even to the ends of the earth," Lily cried. Kevin was considering going with her, not because he forgave her, but because if she kept pestering him like this, he'd have a hard time getting anything done. Kevin finally let out a long sigh and gave in. "Okay, I'll go with you." "Really?" Lily asked doubtfully, but she still didn't take her hand off his arm. "If you don't let go of my arm, I'll leave right now and you'll never be able to find me again," Kevin said gloomily. Lily was so frightened when she heard him say this that she quickly let go. "Come on," Kevin mumbled as he pointed to the other side of the campus where he'd parked his car. Once they got into Kevin's car, Lily told him that she and her mother had moved into a new place. They were now living in a condo at the Salix Leaf Hotel's new development. Kevin didn't say anything in reply. He just nodded unemotionally. On the way to her new home, Lily kept looking for topics to talk about, but Kevin only answered yeah and yup. After more than an hour, Kevin pulled into the parking garage under Lily's building. She'd certainly found a tasteful place, and she bought her condo at just the right time. It had already increased in value by the next day because there was such a demand for the properties in her building. Kevin looked around and saw all the amazing facilities. Plus, the architecture was exquisite and the layout was just right. He was relieved to see just how beautifully the place had turned out. He could tell that Rachel had put a lot of effort into the project, and she certainly hadn't let him down. When they got out of the car, Lily took Kevin by the arm and told him excitedly, "My place is in this tower." Then she paused before adding, "I'll make something delicious for you to eat when we get upstairs." "You can head up there first. I'd like to go and buy some gifts," Kevin suggested as he looked at the large shopping mall next to the building. "What gifts are you thinking of getting?" Lily smiled and replied. "The best gift for me would be to forgive me." "I really think I should get something for your mom," Kevin said uneasily. Dorothy already had a horrible opinion of him. How could he return home as a former jailbird? Who knew how she might react? "You really don't need to buy anything. I'll help you deal with my mom," Lily offered. She was really afraid that Kevin would change his mind and drive away. Then how could she ever find him again? "I think it would be better to buy her something. I haven't been back in a while, plus I still need to go and see my parents. I'm sure they're still worried about me," Kevin insisted. "Okay, but I'll go with you," Lily volunteered as she took him by the arm. After the disaster with Nolan Hill, she was still afraid. Now the only place she felt safe was by Kevin's side. "Let's go," Kevin exclaimed. Then he locked his car and started walking towards the shopping mall. There was a reason this development was so popular. It had absolutely everything you could want. The residents didn't need to leave the property if they didn't feel like it. Even if a shop didn't have exactly what you wanted, they could send for it and deliver it to your home for no extra charge. But before they'd gotten very far, a young woman ran over to them in a panic. She kept looking behind her and accidentally bumped into Lily. "I'm so sorry, I didn't do it on purpose," she hurriedly apologized. "No problem, just be a little more careful," Lily replied considerately. But Kevin had a bad feeling and asked her, "Is there something wrong?" He could tell that she was a university student, and he could see that she was in a hurry. But what worried him was that her eyes were filled with panic.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.